You are listening to The Cheap Seats.
What the hell's going on out here?
Brought to you by Agamemnon Self-Defense.
Now, here are your hosts.
This is the end. The absolute end.
Steve Willis and Steve Determan.
Good afternoon, everybody. XERS Radio. You are tuned in to the Cheap Seats. I'm your host, Steve Willis. Brought to you by Rock Sports Bar and Grill. For those that go to Rocks, we salute you. Determan not going to be here tonight. In his place is our NASCAR guru sitting beside me, the one, the only, the Josh Briggs. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, my man. How you doing?
I am wonderful. Got the new digs going down here in the Rock studio. Brand new microphones, so if we sound a little bit different, a little bit lower, a little bit sexier, it's exactly because this is brand new microphones. We're not in any way sexy at all.
Definitely not.
No, it's all in the microphones, baby. That's what it is. And I'll be playing with the volume a little bit tonight, just so I don't blow anybody's eardrums out. So if we're a little low, a little high, I apologize. But speaking of highs and lows, man, you want to talk about this week? It has been just chock full of nothing but highs and lows. And obviously, some of the great highs have been in the NBA playoffs, and we had a few lows. We had a couple of lows in NASCAR, and of course, a couple of lows for a few teams.
Oh yeah, in
the NBA and the NHL playoffs. And we're going to get to all of that here a little bit later on. I got a couple of guests coming up a little bit later. Of course, the NFL draft is coming up next weekend, and it will technically start Thursday before our show comes on Friday. So we will actually be doing a kind of like a show right in the middle of the draft. So this is our pre-draft show, really, so to speak.
We'll be getting you ready.
Yep, and with that, we actually have a special guest. Former Tennessee Titan Jovan Haye is going to be with us just a little bit later on. Actually, going to be the top of the second hour, so stay tuned for that. He was a sixth-round draft pick in the 2007 NFL draft and played for quite a few teams, notably around here, the Chicago Bears, and he's going to be on with us a little bit later. He's going to talk a little bit about what it was like to be a journeyman in the NFL, and he did everything from barely make practice squads all the way up to he got at one point with the Titans a 4-year, $16 million deal. So I mean, he's seen every level of achievement.
He's been around the block.
Yeah, as far as a player goes. So he's going to really be able to give us some great insight, and he pulls no punches. So you're definitely going to want to stick around for that. But first, what about these playoffs this year?
It's been unreal.
Storyline after storyline in the NBA and in the NHL. Obviously, the big one around here last night was the Chicago Bulls having to go to double overtime to take care of the Milwaukee Bucks, but they end up doing it.
Yeah, they did a great job, and I actually stayed up for the end of that game, and D. Rose, Jimmy Butler, all those guys, and they really all stepped up to the occasion. And, honestly, I think this is going to kind of start to take shades of the old days of the Bulls. And, what did you call them the other night, Steve? A mash unit?
Oh, they were. I mean, throughout this entire season, it seemed like they had been one mash unit after another. Obviously, everybody knew about Derrick Rose getting hurt. Joakim Noah had been playing hurt. You had Taj Gibson and Jimmy Butler all dinged up at one point or another. It was really bad. And one thing that I did notice, a lingering effect that I did notice last night, that I think may end up being a factor in the next series if the Bulls go on to win this one, which it really looks like they're going to. They have a 3-0 lead. They should sweep. I mean, really, honestly, they should sweep Milwaukee, and that'll give them a chance to rest. But Pau Gasol looked really tired last night.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a veteran, and, you're going to have that with the guys that have been around a long time, and he's been around a long time.
And really on top of it, you're talking about not only have been around a long time, but, I mean, this is a guy that the entire season, not only does he start every game, finish every game, only sits down to rest, comes off the bench, and gets right back into the game, he had to do it even more with Rose getting hurt, and then with Noah getting hurt, and then with Butler. I mean, he's had to take on more of a role for the last 3 or 4 months of the regular season. And so that just put that much more mileage on those legs at the end of the season when you're really trying to rest these guys. I mean, if you look across the conferences over the Western Conference, the San Antonio Spurs have probably the oldest team. Actually, they definitely have the oldest team in the playoffs. And you've got guys like Tim Duncan who are fresh. But they're fresh because Greg Popovich was capable to rest them towards the end of the season. You didn't get that with you didn't get that with Chicago. They didn't have that luxury. Tom Thibodeau didn't get a chance to rest his older players and his veteran players. So I mean, it's going to be more of a grind on a team like Chicago now, and that really bothers you. I think if you're getting ready to go into a series, especially if it becomes a long series with the Cavaliers, because I mean, talk about somebody that you're going to have to chase around anyway. He's going to, we've got to worry about, or should I say, the Bulls have to worry about Kevin Love and his offensive capability outside of the 15 to 17 foot mark. So I mean, because Kevin Love can hit threes.
Oh yeah.
So that means you're talking about not just playing in the key in the paint. Now you're talking about he's going to have to go out and worry about the entire half court. Boy, that's going to wear on some legs.
It's gonna, because with Pau Gasol, he's good when you need him in the clutch, but the Bulls, they don't have this luxury of having young guys that an abundance of young guys that can step up to the occasion like the Spurs do, because the Spurs, they got Kawhi Leonard, who he just continues to amaze me, and he steps up for when they need to rest Ginobili and Duncan and Parker. And I think that's why we both agree that the Spurs, they can keep going and they know how to rise to the occasion when it matters most. But can the Bulls do it? I just don't think they can. And honestly, I think that's why it's going to be a Spurs-Cavaliers NBA championship matchup. So
now you say Spurs right away, so you're just completely taking anybody else out of the equation in the West.
Yeah.
You got San Antonio coming back.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And you ask any of my buddies that we talk basketball, whether it's at work or on the street or whatever, we all know what the Spurs are capable of this time of year, and they just keep doing it over and over and over and over.
Well, when we talked the other day, I likened them to Tom Izzo and Michigan State when it comes tournament time in college basketball, and a lot of reason behind that is because of they look like they're just kind of plugging along, making just enough hay to get involved, and that's what next thing you know, here they come in the playoffs, and they come roaring in. So I mean, it is a strange thing to see the San Antonio Spurs look like they're barely going to make the playoffs, or they come in with no real pomp and circumstance, and next thing you know, bam, they look like a crazy good team. But so you have them getting by the Clippers, but that means you also have them getting by you got them getting by Houston, you've got them getting possibly by
the Warriors.
Yeah, Golden State as well.
Definitely. And you know what? That's why I think the best is going to come out of the West for right now, but the Cavaliers might have something else to say about it. But, Golden State, they've really stepped it up this year. 66 wins. They get a great coach like Steve Kerr. And then we also talked about with the Clippers when Chris Paul came in. that's his team. That's his team. They ride on him. But honestly, I think the Spurs they're gonna be the best.
Well, as far as the Clippers go, I mean they're having a heck of a time, and San Antonio in the first game, obviously, Los Angeles really showed they flexed their muscles and they beat up. And San Antonio looked old, they really did. And then obviously the second game, Tim Duncan, just takes over the game. What do you have? I think it was like 29 points or something like that, and even with the triple double. By Blake Griffin, they still end up losing the game. It's almost like the Spurs just they will themselves to victory sometimes. So I mean, I'll give you that. I'll go ahead and give you that. I don't know if I'm ready to say the Spurs will run all the way through. I like Golden State a lot in the Western Conference.
They are tough
They're
too.
so dominant, and Steve Kerr's got them playing so well.
And how about Steph Curry? Oh my goodness!
Oh, I mean Curry's a beast. But I do have one thing that out of the West that is freaking everybody out, and I don't understand why. Why is everybody so freaked out about how the Wizards are beating up on Toronto?
Yeah, it's the Wizards. They got.
I mean, seriously. Okay, the first couple of games has been it's been home cooking for every team in the NBA except for Toronto. They've lost the first two games at home. Guys, the Wizards were good last year,
and they're just picking back up where they left off.
They weren't. I mean, this is not a big surprise. The only reason that they're playing these games in Toronto is because Toronto just luckily had a better record, so they got a better seed.
They lucked out.
Yeah, Toronto is good. Don't get me wrong; they're good.
Very
but
athletic.
They are not the Spurs. Or they're not. They're nowhere near Golden State's level, Houston's level, and like I said, the Wizards last year. The Wizards looked good.
Yeah,
I even said last year after the Wizards got eliminated, I said watch for Washington to come back and make real noise next year in the playoffs. Even though the West is deep, they still look real good. So I mean, guys, they're beating up on Toronto. That's okay. They're supposed to be.
They're here to prove a point that they're a force to be reckoned with in the East.
Right, exactly. So and I don't see why everybody's freaking out. So don't freak out, guys.
But you gotta love you gotta love the enthusiasm of the fans.
Yeah, the Wizards are supposed to be good. Now the Bobcats would have made it. Now, okay, that's
a different story.
Totally. If they would have made it, I think there'd been a lot of people jumping off of buildings, honestly, in Vegas, because nobody would have expected that. Anyways, as we move along here, in the tournament itself. As my computer is just acting completely stupid, and I'm trying to pull up information.
I've been faced with those gremlins all day.
Oh my gosh, it has been one thing after another. On the way here, how I told you when I came in, I said the last half an hour was crazy. My child decided to attempt to poison herself.
Oh no!
Before I left the house, yeah, she ate a leaf from a daylily.
Oh geez!
Outside, have you? And if you know anything about plants, daylilies are poisonous.
Gotta love that chlorophyll, just like Adam Sandler does.
But the daylilies are poisonous, but only the blossoms.
Oh
I guess the leaves, which is all that's up right now because it's early spring, the leaves are just an irritant. But she's sitting there talking about how her mouth is hurting and all this, and it's like, oh God, we're calling poison control and everything else, and I'm trying to gather all my stuff. I'm like, oh really? This is going to happen right now. So, and I know I'm not a bad father. I was concerned about my kid.
Willis is a good dad. Take my word for it.
More than anything, I was more concerned about my child. But she's fine. She's fine. She did throw up, but outside of that, she's fine.
That's a good thing.
So, yeah.
But we're here for you, sports fans.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're here for you though. But looking at the playoffs right now, obviously the Hawks are doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
They did, the Nets are pulling up a pretty good showing, though. I mean, they haven't, they didn't get blown out in either game 1 or game 2. Game 3 obviously tomorrow night, but I think the Hawks have pretty much got this thing.
I think so.
They've got things well in hand. The Cavaliers, the Celtics, they're about to close this thing out. I don't think it's going to be much of a contest. They're going. They're playing one more at Boston here. I think they're going to wrap it up at Boston.
But my focus will be the West for sure. Definitely.
Oh yeah, the Bulls and Bucks. I think that's going to be a no-brainer. And then of course, to wrap it up in the East, the Raptors and the Wizards, and of course the Wizards are up 2-0 and handily winning these games. I mean, first one they won by 9, and then this next one they won by like 13 points. So I mean, it's not like we're not like it's not a crazy difference. With Washington, I think Washington once they go home for 2 games, they're going to wrap this thing up at home. Now, before we go into the West, that said, if things go according to plan here, and we have the games we expect, so you're looking at the Wizards versus Houston, and then you're looking Cavaliers Bulls, obviously.
And that's the one that everybody's circling.
Yeah, the one that everybody's going to be watching is Cavaliers Bulls, LeBron versus what looks like a very healthy Derrick Rose after last night's game.
He's looking very good, guys.
And the Bulls, being up 3-0, they just need to close this out. Now, if the Bulls can close this out, if they can close this thing out tomorrow at Milwaukee, and they've got to wait for Cleveland to possibly close it out as early as Sunday. That's going to give Chicago anywhere from 3 to 5 days of rest, depending on how the NBA schedules the game. And if Boston takes a game, Cavaliers won't even have another chance to close it out until Tuesday. So that gives the Bulls a solid week almost of rest at that point. So the biggest Celtics fans out there tomorrow night could very possibly be the Chicago Bulls locker room.
Yeah, definitely wear your green Bulls fans.
Yeah, and mostly Pau Gasol. So I mean, there is an opportunity there for the Bulls to get rested and get more healthy to play the Cavaliers. And I honestly think the big key here for Cleveland, not that they need to look past Boston, but they need to set themselves up. If Cleveland wants to have a shot at just lighting a fire against Chicago and running down their throat, they would have to beat Boston.
They got to get this done now,
Sunday night. And if they don't, then they're going to put for pardon the cliche, but they're going to put the ball in Chicago's court. And pardon the proverbial pun there as well.
Professor Willis.
Yeah. But they're going to give advantage Chicago at that point, because you're giving Chicago 5-6 days of rest.
And rest is everything in the playoffs for sure.
It is, especially for Chicago, who's trying to get healthy. The Bulls, I mean, we already talked about how unhealthy they had been towards the end of the season. So, I mean, it is going to be huge if they have that opportunity. Now, as far as I don't even think we need to discuss the Hawks matchup. Does anybody not think Atlanta is going to make it through all the way to the conference finals?
It seems like they're kind of like the silent. They're just like the
this
team
has
that's
been
laying
all
in the
year
weeds.
for them, though.
Oh, they've
been
dominant.
all year for them.
60 wins.
Nobody's talked about it. I mean, this is the best team in the NBA that nobody has even spoken of.
It's going to be funny if they just sneak in and make it to the NBA Finals. But
I mean, seriously, nobody's even talking about Atlanta outside of the southeastern part of the United States.
Which is very surprising, because you'd think that your Georgia people, they'd be all for the Hawks, but apparently not.
No, I mean, nobody's really talking about them, but all of a sudden, here they are, and they're doing so well. If they... I mean, really, the only thing they need to worry about is, what dinner plans they're going to make the couple of nights that they got to go to Washington to play the Wizards. I mean, that's about all usual. So as far as this goes so far, I mean, it really looks like it's going to be Atlanta, Washington, Chicago, Cleveland. I really think about as simple as that.
The teams that we're expecting for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty much chalk all the way. And even though Toronto, like I said, was the higher seed, I really, really expect the Wizards to walk away with that one completely unchallenged. Warriors Pelicans, you got to give the Pelicans credit for stepping up in overtime last night. However, Golden State is just too much. I mean, they're just way too much. Anthony Davis, though, what has he done with that Pelicans team? He is so
He's put them on their back.
He is so good. He's put that whole team on his back, and it's so incredible. But of course, Warriors are about ready to wrap that up. 3 games tomorrow night at New Orleans. They can wrap that thing up. That's going to be on ESPN, by the way, if anybody wants to check that out. That's going to be a good game, I think.
And you could be looking at a possible Western Conference champion right here. It just depends.
Yeah, very possibly. Rockets Mavericks so far. Rockets up 2-0. No big surprise there.
Dwight Howard's pretty good.
Yeah, Dallas is going the other way, man. I mean,
Rondo's hurt now.
Yeah, and they've made it into the playoffs again, but they are a shell of the team they once were, and we were saying that last year. So I mean, I don't really see why this should be much different. Clippers Spurs is an interesting. That is so interesting. That it very well could go 7 games.
I think it will.
These two teams, just the chess match that these two teams are going to have every game is just ridiculous. I mean, you've got probably 2 of the smartest coaches in the NBA on either bench.
I mean, Rivers, and then you got Pop going at it with each other. And,
and these guys, I mean, they know how to play their guys. You have talent on both sides that just, epic proportions of talent on both sides. So, I mean, 2 phenomenal teams. I think really the classiest 2 teams in the NBA too. So, I mean, I'm rooting for both of them. It's a shame that they can't both win.
I know.
Blazers, Grizzlies, the Grizz really, I mean, they have taken a step forward the last couple of years.
Oh, I know.
And now that they're beating up on Portland, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Washington, Toronto. I really expected the Grizzlies to lead this series. I didn't really expect them to sweep it. I could,
win it.
I think Portland wins a game at Portland.
But Memphis
and then Memphis takes it in 5.
I think so too. And it's funny. I was thinking the other day. I wish I could have shared this with you. They sure as heck have come a long way from Vancouver. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No kidding.
But look for them to maybe take a step from where the Wizards are. I'd like to see that because I like rooting for those Southern teams, but. Who knows? Maybe
you're a Tennessee guy. Anyway,
I know,
so
Titans.
That's a big thing for you. So
that's
I mean, hey, it's all good too. It really is. And Memphis, great team. Like I said, they're a really good team. They're on the come. They are on the come.
Close.
They started looking good last year. They're looking better this year. They're playing out of their minds. I think as a team effort goes, they are one of the best team. I don't know if you want to call it just they play so well coordinated.
They're very smart.
They really do. I mean, it looks like if you just put a Grizzlies game on like an instructional video on how to play as a team, and you'd sell 1 million copies. I mean, they're so good collectively. And it's ridiculous because I mean seriously, just real quick off the top of your head, give me one of the stars on the Grizzlies.
Zach Randolph.
Yeah. Now after that,
Vince Carter. I mean, I didn't even know he was on the Grizzlies.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, seriously, where's LeBron James?
Not there.
Where's Kevin Durant?
Not there.
You're not hearing any of those names. You know why?
Because they don't need the big names.
They don't need them because they're playing so well as a team.
It might not be a baseball
seriously,
thing.
When Zach Randolph is your number 1 guy, he is the leader of that team.
That's big.
And you're right in the middle of the toughest conference. You're right in the middle of the playoff seed of the toughest conference of the NBA, and you did it without a megastar. How good are you as a team?
I think that deserves a lot. Hopefully, maybe get them through this first round, and we'll see where they go from there.
I think it gets them through this first round. If they win this round, and they win this round, and they would be playing they'd be playing Golden State.
Yes, that is correct.
If they won this round. So I mean, if they win this round, I don't think they're going to be playing Golden State. I don't think they'd beat Golden State. I think they'd have a shot to make a game of it. Mm-hmm. They might, it might be. I'd say Golden State in 5, maybe Golden State in 6,
maybe.
Just really depends on what kind of home cooking Memphis gets.
Just depends on how they come out.
But still, I mean, kudos to them for just being as good of a team, and I mean team in every sense of the word.
They were watching their Tom and Mansky videos, but except it's not baseball, it's basketball.
Yeah.
But maybe he's a good role model for him.
Do you remember those videos? You remember
Oh,
that?
my God, yeah. I played Little League.
Oh, my goodness.
I was watching Tom and Mansky like it was, I don't know.
I used to laugh about those videos. Me and my friends would just be like, okay, well, that's great, but who's going to throw to a garbage can?
Not me.
Have you seen our catcher? He's nowhere near that big.
Oh, I know. But I tell you what, I'm not as big of an NBA guy as I used to be, but I tell you what, though, when it comes time for the playoffs, it's so much fun to watch because you just don't know who's going to come out flat, who's going to come out swinging. You just don't know until that till the last buzzer goes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like last night, I go back to the Bulls game last night, You go before overtime at the very end of the fourth period. Derrick Rose has a chance to win it on the foul line. He goes 1-1 on the foul line and ties the game up. But then it goes into overtime. Milwaukee came roaring back. They looked like they had an opportunity to steal that game, but nope. And no, 2 overtimes later, Chicago ends up just putting their foot to the floor and just driving that game home. So you never know what's going to happen, and it's constantly changing. That's the one beautiful thing about the NBA playoffs. It's so dynamic every game, and since it's a 7-game series, you get a true winner.
Definitely,
that is the one knock that I have on the NCAA tournament, which is why it's so good.
They need to have more series.
Well, it's so good and it's so bad at the same time because you can't possibly have series in that big of a tournament. You can't possibly have series. It'd go on forever. It'd go on all the way to the start of the next season. So you can't possibly have a series, but at the same time, you get these wild and crazy upsets when you have a single game elimination.
Like an 8-1. It has happened.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly.
But I tell you.
And it's one of those things that it's like, I can't. I know if they would play them 2 more times, they'd take it 2 out of 3. And
it'd be more entertaining, and you wouldn't have a lot of the heavyweights like there are now.
I almost wish the NCAA, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm saying this with a disclaimer. If this happens, I get full credit.
Oh,
you've said it. You've heard it here first.
Need to write out the big fat check right now.
Yes. The NCAA committee, you need to write me a check for this if this happens. I think they should make the Final Four and the national championship all 3-game series.
Exactly. And
3-game series. Best of 3.
It just makes it more fair, but, who knows?
Everything else, single elimination, that's fine. But make the Final Four and make the conference championship a 3-game series.
Not
the conference, but the national championship, a 3-game series. I mean, you give these kids a whole week. Here they are. They're playing game after game after game. One day here, next day here, and then you give them a rock solid week to travel, and then one day here, next game here. That's all fine. But they're playing game after game. Well, then why don't you just take that last week instead of giving them a 1-week layover? Take that last week and split it up amongst the games. You can do it logistically. You can do it. It wouldn't add, but maybe 4 or 5 days to the entire tournament.
I mean, heck, they can do it with the college football playoff, and you saw how much drama that turned out.
So adjust it to make just the Final Four and just the national championship. Make it a 3-game series.
The ratings would go through the roof.
I'd love it. And we wouldn't get this, it's not a real champion. It's not, it's one-off game. Well, that's true. That's true. That's why I say make it a series. Anyhow, when we come back, we're going to take a look at the other playoffs going and tell you a little bit about what's going on there.
We're going to go ice skating, man.
And a little bit of worrisome for one NHL team. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit too. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio.
From all of the games on our big screens to the best collection of memorabilia from your favorite sports greats, Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka has you covered. Our menu features something for everyone. Amazing sandwiches and wraps, and the best burgers around, including the Rockstar Overdose, 2 half-pound patties, served with bacon, cheddar cheese, and piled high with French fries. Like us on Facebook to check out our daily food and drink specials that are sure to be great on your gut and easy on your wallet. We've got you covered between game days, too. Wednesday night is trivia night where you can match wits with your buddies for great prizes. And every weekend, Rocks features great music from some of Michiana's finest artists. Come see why there's no better place to get your fan fix than Rock Sports Bar and Grill in the Yorktown Center building in downtown Mishawaka. For those who come to Rocks, we salute you.
Come back to Mishawaka for some home cooking, whether you're out late at night or up early in the morning. Featuring Dog and Suds root beer, iconic cupcakes, homemade biscuits and gravy. The Iconic Cafe, 215 North Main Street, Mishawaka.
1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, ready, go.
Hey, tune in to XERS Radio and get your funk and groove on with me, Deanna, for a non-stop dance party as we stroll, hustle, bounce, and electric slide through the decades to the old school R&B, disco, funk, and hip-hop hits. If you can get jiggy with it, you better believe you're going to hear it here every Saturday night from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Dance party classics from artists like Aretha Franklin, The Temptations, Shaka Khan, and the Ohio Players are sure to get you moving. And every week, I'll be dusting off some of my old 45s and 12-inch dance LPs to bring you old school jams from artists you haven't heard in a while, like Cameo, The Bar-Kays, and Tume, and, well, Milli Vanilli. You know, it's true. Listen. If you're getting ready for a night on the town or having your own personal dance party in your living room, you can pump up the jams every Saturday night with me, Deanna Lynn Bennett, on the X.
I'm not afraid to take a stand.
And we are back. You're tuned into the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. And, of course, got a lot going on this weekend. If you happen to be in the Michiana area, you want to stop by and check out some of the great local bands at the Phoenix, at Cheers, 5-Star Dive Bar, and of course, our very own Rock Sports Bar and Grill. This weekend is a great weekend to do that. At the Phoenix, Friday night, Ground Control is going to be there, and the High Five Band on Saturday, too. Cheers Pub, Friday night, Zero is going to be there. And 5-Star Dive Bar has Party Mouth. Now, Saturdays at Cheers, they have a whole bunch of stuff going on. They've got a $5 cover. It looks like Hayes Zero is going to be their night auditor. And it says something here about South Bend Silverhawks, so you might want to check with Cheers Pub on that. Attention Deficit is going to be at 5-Star Dive Bar. You've got to check them out. They are phenomenal.
Great music.
And Cambria is going to be Saturday at Rocks. So you definitely want to check that out. And coming up Sunday, Melathon from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mel Williams, of course, one of our great hosts and a local a big local talent, and he is going to be promoting several fundraisers throughout the area. A few of those are very close to the station here, and as well as the Cheap Seats. So tune in 2 to 7. There will be several of our hosts joining, and there will be many bands coming in and performing and just talking about some of the charities and some of the fundraisers that are going on right now in the area, and you can help. You can help. Just a few dollars here, a few dollars there. I can, believe me, there are thousands of you are listening right now, and I know that just a few dollars from each could be a huge help in any of these fundraisers. Tune in. That's 2 to 7. That's coming up Sunday. So now, there is another playoffs going on in the world right now. Obviously, the NBA playoffs is big. There is another playoff going on right now, and it is huge as well. A lot going on in the NHL playoffs. And I would say probably one of the biggies around here is obviously Chicago. And they're up, 3-1 now?
Yep, 3 games to 1. That is correct.
And really, one of those games that it was, if I remember right, I think it was like right into double overtime. Like as soon as double overtime started, all of a sudden, boom, there they are. They win it.
That was it.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what. As far as playoff hockey goes, I'm brand new to the hockey thing. So, I mean, I really don't, Steve Determan has been really trying to push me into starting to really give hockey more of a chance.
It's worth it, man.
I never really,
it's worth it.
I never really had, but it really is, it's phenomenal. It really is very exciting. And the Blackhawks, like the Red Wings right now, they're up 3-1, I think.
Oh yeah, 3 games to 1 over the Lightning.
Right, and they're classic. They're part of the original 6. They give you an opportunity to see what hockey, the true spirit of the game is about, and how to play it classically. And watching these games, if it doesn't get your mouth watering to want to watch hockey a little bit more, I don't know what would.
Definitely not.
And anyhow, give me a couple of quick takes that you had off of those games.
I mean, I think with the Red Wings, I've been paying a lot of attention to that because I did a lot of Michigandering when I was in college, and I got hooked on the Red Wings. So, Red Wings, man, you should do it. But,
Determan would hate you right now.
Yeah, I know. But, I've been to Joe Louis Arena, and I tell you what, there's no better team to watch than the Red Wings. I've watched their minor league affiliate in Grand Rapids, and they just, to me, they got their veterans, and they got a few younger guys. And they're kind of like the San Antonio Spurs of hockey. They've been in the playoffs for 24 seasons in a row, Steve. Who could ever top that?
That is a ridiculous statistic.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean,
I just, how in the world are you that dominant that you're going to make the playoffs?
Yeah,
or is it a matter of, so few teams in the NHL that just like they always have a shot?
There's parity. There's parity for sure. And something, the Red Wings, they actually used to be in the Western Conference, and then a couple of years ago they came to the Eastern Conference, and it seems like they're picking up right where they left off, and they're giving the Lightning everything that they can handle, and that kind of it's kind of a bummer because the Lightning, they actually have Steve Yzerman, a former Red Wing, as their team president, and you would have think that he would have took some of his knowledge about the game there, but apparently not, because they're really putting their key guy, Steven Stamkos, out of the game. And, if the Lightning have any hope of getting back into the series, Stamkos needs to step it up. So, it's hard to tell, but I think the Lightning have this one. They have this one under wraps, and the Blackhawks, I think they're gonna wrap it up as well. But Steve, I was telling you about this before we went on. How the fuss was about Crosby and Ovechkin and Crosby, blah 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 blah. I mean, honestly, like I know a lot about hockey, and I'm almost sick of hearing about Crosby and Ovechkin, and it's just something that I think that they're not going to be able to make it too far this year. So I think that's going to be the end for both those guys.
So yeah, let me ask you that. So if I'm reading you right, we could be looking at a complete dismantling of that whole team.
I think so. I mean, it's almost inevitable. And I saw something on SportsCenter this morning. They were actually talking about that. like when Crosby and Ovechkin, they came into the league together. Okay, that's cool. But it's almost kind of like LeBron and Carmelo. They've actually done better. But Crosby and Ovechkin, they're supposed to live up to the hype. How many cups has Ovechkin won? None. How many has Crosby won? I mean, like, what, one? But they just didn't live up to the hype.
So came in with a lot of fanfare, and much like you said, like LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, they came in with a bunch of fanfare. Now LeBron's got his 2 rings. Melo's still searching for that elusive one, and now it's looking like they may be walking away from the game. Maybe not next year, but sometime fairly soon. See the book starting to close on both. Ovechkin and Crosby, and they'll have, outside of spectacular seasons. Don't get me wrong. I mean, statistically they're monsters, but but no Stanley Cup.
No, I mean Crosby, he had his one, but you know what?
Well, yeah, I should say, Crosby did have the one. I'm not going to take that.
But,
away.
Crosby, he's been more famous having YouTube parody commercials. I mean, there's some really funny ones up there. My buddy Shane, he showed me this one about Crosby, and I kid you not, Willis, I rolled over. I about died out of laughter because, oh, wow. But if anything, if you guys want the link of the commercial, just message me on my Facebook page, jbriggsy14. And I will send you the YouTube link because you will die. I mean, Crosby, he's just, I don't know, not a lot of Red Wings care for him. They don't care for the Penguins. But honestly, I think the Red Wings, they're gonna be factors in the East, and of course the Blackhawks. And then we also said something about the Kings. They aren't. Where's the Kings? Where's the Bruins? They aren't in it this year. But I think it would be so cool if we had a Red Wings Blackhawks Stanley Cup final. I mean, remember when we had the Bears and Colts a few years ago in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, that, holy cow, you want to talk about one region getting all the fanfare.
That'd be so awesome. I mean, all the bars would be packed. I mean, heck,
yeah,
I'm going up to Grand Rapids the first week of June, right around that time. So, oh, man, I'd love to try and pack in one of the bars in downtown Grand Rapids.
Yeah, oh, man, you'll be lucky to squeeze in.
Oh, I know, and they wouldn't even care that I went to school up there. I mean, they'd be like, I don't care if you're a sportscaster, get out of here.
You do realize all you got to do is wear one of our fantastic XCRS radio T-shirts.
That's right, and I'll wear my Zetterberg jersey.
Yeah, you throw that on.
Sorry, Determan.
Yeah, oh, shots fired. Shots fired.
I love you, buddy, but I'm sorry. It's the Red Wings.
I'm waiting for the hotline to blow up. He's going to call in.
They'll be like, Briggs, get out of here.
Yeah, I'd be like, get out of my chair.
But
he's gonna come in here with a bottle of bleach and bleach down the chair just to get your Red Wings funk off of it before he sits down.
Yeah, but
actually, in his household, it's worse because his wife is a Bruins fan and he's a Blackhawks fan. Yes, it'd be like having a Chiefs and Raiders fan in the same household. It's
so in other words, it's on like Donkey Kong.
yeah, but hey, you know what? They're good sports about it. They root for each other's teams, so it's all good.
So what do you think about NHL? I mean, I Red Wings and Blackhawks. I mean, I gave Determan some love. I got to say the Blackhawks are going to go pretty far. So
well, with my limited knowledge of the NHL, and I will say that I'll start with that. It really looks like Chicago is, they haven't skipped a beat from last year.
Oh, heavens, no.
All season they've looked, fairly dominant, and then once again in the playoffs they've ratcheted it up, and just the intensity is there. They're skating hard every play, and they look just like they're on a mission. Mm-hmm. And so they look. I don't want to use the term unbeatable because everybody is beatable. Everybody's beatable, but I mean, if you got to play a series against Chicago, every single game they are going to come at you guns blazing, and you're just, I mean, it's going to, I'd be scared to death if I was the goalie having to play a potential 7-game series against the Blackhawks because they're going to get beat up.
Oh, I know. And the thing
how
that
many shots on goal does Chicago have they rung the 5,000 mark for shots on goal this year?
I bet you they might have.
Moly. It seems like it.
The interesting thing, that we have here, we have more parity in the NHL, it seems like, because, it used to be the Maple Leafs all the time. It used to be the Kings all the time. It used to be the Bruins all the time, the Sabres. They're nowhere, but it's kind of nice because we have teams like, yes, I'm going to say another Tennessee team, Nashville. They've been a perennial contender like the Grizzlies, but they're just missing that one guy that can get them over the edge. And you never know. Maybe the Predators might be the next big thing. You just never know. I mean, all it takes is just that one guy. But, the original six, especially Detroit and Chicago, man, can't mess with them. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think really as far as the NHL playoffs goes, to me it's like the NBA playoffs, the best part of the season.
Oh yeah,
because just everything is on the line. It's almost like the way baseball is for just about everybody.
And I think ratings will just go through the roof.
Ratings go up in the first week of the season. They lull, and then once you hit the playoffs, boom, it's all on again.
It's just like Grey's Anatomy. Now, ladies, don't cry if your team loses. I'm sorry that McDreamy is gonna be gone, but I mean, that's what drama is about in sports.
Wait. Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah, I had to plug that in, because that's what the ladies love. They love the drama, and sports to me is like Grey's Anatomy, but I don't cry when my team loses. Trust me.
Wait, hold on. We got to stop 1 second. We need to just stop. You've just, you know what? Honestly, you've just completely, I have no idea how you did it. And the show has just came to a crashing halt. Do you watch Grey's Anatomy?
Yes, I do. Admittedly.
Is your man card in your wallet?
No, but actually...
Okay, you need to leave it with Consuela on the way out.
But Patrick Dempsey is one heck of a race car driver.
Okay, that didn't buy you anything. You did not know, huh? You could have lit your chest hair on fire and it wouldn't brought your man card back. Grey's Anatomy, really?
Yeah, but I only watch because Patrick Dempsey. He's a great race car driver, and that's pretty much it. But I had to try and get the plug. But
you lost brownie points with me.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's okay. It's okay. You know what? Hey, there's probably some woman out there that heard that and said, "Oh, listen to that Josh guy. He's so sensitive and he likes Grey's Anatomy.
That's right.
He talks hockey."
That's right. But
too bad I'm a Chicago fan. Otherwise, I'd call him.
But you gotta love the drama, though. I mean, if you wanted some good action, watch the playoffs. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, speaking of action, before we get to break, I saw all kinds of action going on in the NFL this week, and I want to jump to that just before the break because right outside the break, we're going to talk NFL draft with none other than former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, former Tennessee Titan, Jovan Haye. He's going to be with us at the top of the hour. And before we go into that, I've got to lead into that with this. Did you see Greg Hardy and what the NFL decided they're going to do, 10-game suspension?
Yeah, they threw the book at him, and that's just basically their way of saying that he's, they've seen what he did, and he's not going to be messing around.
I don't know. The angle that I think I'm taking on this and, what I got out of it, I think Greg Hardy is paying not for what Greg Hardy did, but what for Roger Goodell failed to do against, Ray Rice.
And the jury will be out on how good of a job that Roger Goodell has done.
Because if you think about it, 10-game suspension for something that, number one, never ended up going to court because the defendant refused to work with prosecutors. So this never ended up going to court. He never got convicted of doing anything. He didn't do anything according to the court of law, but because the NFL feels that, he may have put his hands on, his girlfriend or
it's just
wife
like
or whatever.
Ray Rice all over again.
Yeah, now they've just, it's almost like, zero tolerance. We're blowing this up. We're giving you 10 games right away. Obviously, this is going to get appealed to the NFLPA, which, should he get suspended for, any length of time? If he did anything, absolutely he should.
For sure.
But the one thing that I noticed when I read this, because I read the statement, they never mentioned domestic violence in the entire statement.
And, that's something because they're trying to take a stance against this.
Well,
and
I think the reason they didn't do it was so then they could come back and say, no, we did not suspend him for domestic violence. Because remember, there is no domestic violence if there is no trial, no conviction,
it
no
has
anything.
to go to court.
Yeah, there is no domestic violence charge at that point. Now, the only thing that they go after is conduct detrimental to the NFL, player personal policy, I don't remember the term for it now, but it's like their player conduct policy.
Oh yeah, the personal conduct code.
Yeah, personal conduct policy, and that is what they're going after. And of course, they had what they refer to as, and I'm using finger quotes, assault style rifles or whatever that the police found. And I hate that term. Being a gun enthusiast, I hate that term, but I'm going to use it because that's what they used. But it seems as if they're using that to go after Greg Hardy, and still, once again, it's like the sons are being, the fines are being levied against the sons for the sins of the fathers, because Ray Rice did it and didn't get punished enough. And there was an outcry for that. Now all of a sudden, Roger Goodell is overcorrecting. And the NFL is overcorrecting on what's going on here. Now, once again, should Greg Hardy be punished? It's not for me to say. I do honestly think he should serve some kind of suspension.
Yeah, because if you did something, you should be able to pay
should
the
it be
price.
2/3 of a season? I don't.
The jury's
think
out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be all that. However, you go conduct detrimental to the NFL. There is a possibility that that'll hold up. A good possibility.
I think so.
So it is something else. Anyhow, we also saw the NFL schedules come out, and I don't know. I mean, you're a Titans fan. Did you look at the schedule?
Yeah, and I'm pretty impressed. I mean, with their schedule, I think I give them 6 wins. I mean, honestly, it's been a tough past, I'd say 5-6 years for them.
Well, I'm not gonna go wins and losses yet because obviously I want to see what happens in the draft and post draft and stuff like that. But I will tell you this: I looked at Kansas City's schedule. Actually, I wrote an article for ProFootballSpot.com about the Chiefs' schedule, and I got to tell you, their schedule sucks. I mean, sucks. You want to talk about a team that just probably all sat around, looked at their schedule, and was like, what? Seriously, they start the season normally enough. All right. They start on a Sunday afternoon, and then they immediately, 5 days later, play a Thursday night game against the Broncos. And then they go on a 10-day stretch where they don't play anything, and then they go back to a Sunday game. And then they have a Monday night game, followed then by another Sunday game. And so they don't even go back to a normal work week until week 5.
So they're really throwing them around and testing them a little bit, huh?
And then on top of it, week 8, they go to London.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so then they're playing in London, and the game is like Sunday at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, and then finally, mercifully enough, they have their bye week in week 9, and then it goes on a normal schedule. They have one primetime game, and it's a Sunday night game.
I just can't wait to see what this draft's going to do for these teams.
Oh yeah, it's going to be something. This draft promises to be, the first round promises to be incredibly interesting. And it's fairly offensive heavy. Obviously, the big names are Mariota, Jameis Winston, which I still, I have people asking me all the time. Anybody that sees me talking about NFL draft, they ask me, is Marcus Mariota going to go over Jameis Winston? Honestly, the answer I think is no.
No, definitely not.
And if you look at what Marcus Mariota does, I don't really see Marcus Mariota going, in the first 5 picks.
Yeah, we had
I
a
could
good
see him
debate on
falling
this
between
too.
6 to 10. I mean, Mariota, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You don't get 15-yard wide open guys in the NFL.
No,
and that's all Mariota passed to in Oregon, and that's all he passes to in his pro day. He's gonna look like a monster in all of that.
But Winston,
anybody would.
Winston is just battle tested.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's passing in little windows. He's passing in tight little windows, and he's making plays under a lot of pressure. A huge difference. I mean, miles away difference. Now, if you can, mentor the knucklehead part of him,
Yeah, I tried to even.
If you can do that, you've made a great football player.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he just needs to grow up, and we even talked about this the other night with Florida State, how many comeback wins they had to make this year just to even get to the playoffs to go against Oregon. And you even said too, Steve, that the other night that Winston is going to be a better all-around player because he knows what it's like to be under pressure. He knows what to do, and he's going to hopefully have that further help. But Mariota, he hasn't been really beaten around like Jameis Winston has. But, I think you're right. All Jameis Winston needs to do is just grow up a little bit and stop doing the stupid things that he did at FSU. And I think he will be number one for sure. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they might get a huge asset out of him. Hopefully, all 5 letters of the word and not just the first 3.
Yeah, hopefully it goes from ass to asset.
Yes.
So, and then one final thing, then we got to go to break. Did you hear Tim Tebow got signed by the Philadelphia Eagles? That's
going to be a huge quarterback contest right there because, Sanchez, I love that guy.
I haven't seen Tim Tebow throw a football in 2 years.
It's been a long time.
Now, I'm not going to say that there's no way he could have gotten better in 2 years, but I just don't know how in the world he could have made it from where he was to being a phenomenal enough NFL quarterback to battle Mark Sanchez to be the head of Chip Kelly's offense.
Nah, I think he's just going to be the guy who picks up the towels and does all the laundry at the end because that's all he's going to do.
I think he's going to be a backup. There's no way he's starting. And if he does, I'm the hot take blows up on me. But I don't think
you don't know.
However, Philadelphia is pretty happy. There's a restaurant in Philadelphia that actually made a new pretzel in honor of Tim Tebow now that he's a Philadelphia Eagle. Yeah, absolutely.
And you know how we love food. We should place an order for some of those.
But the trick about the pretzel, it's called the Tim Tebow pretzel. It looks great on the outside, but once you bite into it, you find out that it's way overrated.
Oh, and the Tebow fans are going to come calling after you, big boy.
Yeah, that's me. Shot me over that one. All right, we'll be right back. Top of the hour, Jovan Haye coming up, talking NFL draft. You are listening to The Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. Josh Briggs in for Steve Determan today. Brought to you by Rock Sports Bar and Grill. We'll be right back.
Hey, ladies. Tired of the same old story? Getting promised all this big meat only to find out it's just the same old average helping? You need someone that can satisfy all your cravings.
You know what she needs? She needs some Scoobies.
Scoobies? Oh, yeah.
Scooby's at 223 North Main Street in downtown Mishawaka can satisfy all your cravings with freshly made subs, pasta, sandwiches, and even homemade cheesecake.
Cheesecake, too? I think I'm in love.
And you'll be in love with the great menu that Scooby's has to offer with specialties like their very own chicken, bacon, and ranch sub. And right now, for the summertime, Michiana's best tasting Chicago dog featuring a quarter-pound all-beef hot dog.
That's more than a mouthful.
And if you need something to wash down all that meat, mention you heard this advertisement on XCRS Radio and get a free drink with any purchase.
Ladies, you won't be disappointed with this 7-inch.
That's Scooby's, downtown Mishawaka, home of the biggest 7-inch around.
Contact Kickstart Studios, audio recording services for all your recording needs. Songwriters, comedians, band demos, commercials, voiceovers, narration, sound effects, background music. Give us a call, 574-274-8046. Kickstart Studios at Comcast.net or like us on Facebook at Kickstart Studios.
Option 5, located in Mishawaka, Indiana, specializes in hand-built boutique guitar effects pedals. Option 5 has been producing the highest quality pedals right here in northern Indiana since 2002, and they continue to create original, non-copy designs today. Option 5 is not simply tweaking popular pedals and then slapping their name on them. They're producing groundbreaking effects designed for guitarists of all styles. And Option 5 doesn't just build cool pedals. They provide top-notch repair service as well. Option 5 repairs pedals and PA equipment, can modify and retube amplifiers, and service or repair Hammond organs and Leslie speakers. If you're looking for the highest quality effects pedals and the best in repair and customer service, check out Option 5 in Mishawaka at 1126 East Jefferson. Give them a call at 574-255-6539 or online at option5effects.com. That's option5effects.com. Option 5. Let tone abound.
Life is meant to be savored. If you find the reason, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana will make it special. From the casual European atmosphere to the high-end tavern fare, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern give you the chance to savor every day. Stop in and savor your day with your choice of a wide variety of drinks, from a classic martini to the best beers from local breweries. Savor your day on the patio, or come in and enjoy a glass of wine with some of our mouth-watering entrees. We're located in the historic Cam Brewery Stable Building in the 100 Center in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Call 574-807-0101 for reservations. Like us on Facebook to find out today's food and drink specials, or stop by our website at morgansandlbd.com. Drink in the moments, feast on the memories, savor every day at Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern.
What's up, y'all? It's Jason Roos from Velvet Jones, and I listen to XERS Radio.
And we are back. You're tuned in to the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio, Hour 2. Of course, Hour 2 is brought to you by Rock Sports Bar and Grill. For those that go to Rock's, we salute you. It's also brought to you by Morgan's and Little Black Dog Tavern. And live on the XERS streaming radio hotline, former 6th round draft pick back in 2005 by the Carolina Panthers, hails from Vanderbilt University and played up till recently with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also played for the Tennessee Titans, the Lions, and the Browns. Please welcome Jovan Haye, great defensive end. Jovan, one of my favorite positions, by the way. I'm a huge fan of the defense, and pass rusher is always my favorite. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. How you doing?
We're great, and we're excited about next weekend's NFL draft. Of course, you hold a fantastic position. When I read your bio and when I contacted you, I was like, this is the perfect person to discuss what it's really like, because obviously when you're watching this stuff on TV and all these prognosticators talking about the first round draft picks and the Jameis Winstons and the Marcus Mariotas and these guys that are getting all this attention, you lose track really easily of the guys that are going mid and late rounds, the 4, 5, 6 round guys, and how hard you guys really have to work just to make a team. And you've done everything. You've gone from making practice squads all the way up to a 4-year, $16 million deal with the Titans. So, I mean, you've gotten to see every end of the performance spectrum as far as a player in the NFL. And give us a little insight as to what it was like on that draft day and when you finally got that call by the Panthers and what it felt like.
Well, the draft day was it wasn't good because the first day after I went to the combine, my agent and I, we heard like the highest out was the end of the first round, definitely a second round, no way he makes it past the third, and so Sunshine Network wanted to do a live special, being a hometown kid, and my dad was like, nah, don't do that. He's like, I've seen horror stories, and I was like, yeah, you're right. So the first day came, and I didn't get drafted. Went outside, walked my blocks for like literally 2 hours barefooted, crying. I'm so sorry.
No, it's perfect. Crying. It's fine.
Crying because I was like, wow, I didn't go on the first day. To the point, I was like, I was so mad. And then, the second day coming, I was like, well, I'm going to be a, 4th round pick, no later than the 4th. And 4th went by, 5th went by. And all of a sudden now I went from being mad to nervous where someone please pick me, And every time the Carolina Panthers, when they were up to draft, I was like, there's no way they're going to pick me because they were loaded at D-line. They had, Brinson Buckner, Al Wallace, Julius Peppers, Mike Rucker, Chris Jenkins, guys like that. I was like, there's no way. And that pick came up 189. I got a phone call. I think it was from like a 704 number. And it was the Carolina Panthers. And I just dropped to my knees and I cried. My dad was in the room and my mom was at work at the time. It was me and my brother and my dad. And I just cried. And, I never cried in front of my dad. And I just broke down, man. Because, even though I was mad because it was so late, it was the sheer joy of getting that phone call. You could never, one of the greatest moments of my life. Greatest.
Man, that's fantastic. And of course, you went on to play 6 years in the NFL. Obviously, that first year with the Panthers, then you went to the Browns, and you got a lot more game action with the Buccaneers. In fact, you even started your first full season with the Buccaneers. And actually did very well, and it was enough to draw the attention of the Titans, and you eventually ended up going over there. So you spurred on your career. But when you first got to training camp with the Panthers, and you first started playing with a lot of the rookies and stuff like that. Tell me how that went, because like you said, it was a loaded offensive line, and you did have good pass rushers there already, and Peppers and like Briggs and these guys. And how did that go? How was that? Especially being somebody that didn't come in with a bunch of fanfare and a bunch of pomp and circumstance. How did that feel coming in, knowing that you had all these guys that you were going to have to compete with?
I was tough, because, not only that, I had, at the time I played DN, but, you just never know how many spots they're going to keep for the year. And one of my friends, T. Ellison, he was a 3rd round pick. And I was like, ooh, and they had a free agent, Lorenzo Alexander, which is crazy because Lorenzo still plays to this day. He lasted longer than I did, and he wasn't even a drafted player. He's in Arizona right now, but they were just stacked. And I was like, I don't see how in the world, where I'm going to fit in. But I just went in there and said, you know what, the heck with it. I'm just going to give it all and let's see what happens, And learning behind Julius Peppers, which you could never learn behind Julius Peppers because I'm not even half the athlete Julius was. So, coaches always tell me, hey, watch Julius. I can't watch Julius. First of all, I'm not 6'6", 6'7", 290, and I can run a 4.4. That wasn't me, But I just found my ways and told myself, you know what? If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down swinging. Which the playbook was pretty tough because, going from the NFL, college to the NFL, the playbooks were like, night and day, and I had to deal with that, and that was tough in itself. But I told myself, you know what? If I'm not gonna know the plays, I'm gonna go fast as I can. And that's all I did. That's all I did. That's all I did. That's all I could do. Because the game was going too fast. It was going too fast. And being in practice and you stop and you look and say, oh my gosh, there goes Steve Smith and there goes Jake Delhomme, and you're like, oh wow. And I had to get over, that being starstruck and realize, hey, I'm here for a reason and I can help this team win games. So
I tell you what, Jovan, it's Josh in the XERS studio, and 2 questions for you, buddy. I know you got a lot of stuff going on with the family, but first of all, you weren't really high up on the draft board. What advice would you give a college age athlete that is aspiring to be the pros? What advice would you give them? Because I got a lot of friends who I went to college with who played for Grand Valley State and on their football team, and 2 of them went pro, and one of them is still surviving up with the Cardinals. What advice would you give them? And 2, if you got a chance to meet some of the bigger name athletes, what advice would you give a newly drafted athlete that is hanging around some of these big guys like Tom Brady and names like that? What would you do?
First of all, it depends on what position you get. If you get drafted and, you're a 6th round pick and you get drafted, in Green Bay, you're a backup. You're a backup. Know your role. You're not outdoing Aaron Rodgers, but know your role. If you're a high draft pick and the guy ahead of you, they're trying to, possibly get rid of him. This guy is not a perennial Pro Bowl. Then realize go in there and compete, because you could compete and not be blind, because I think a lot of guys think, hey, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to outdo Aaron Rodgers, or I'm going to go in there and outdo Clay Matthews. That's not happening. The business side of the NFL won't even allow that to happen, but if you're one of these guys that are just trying to make a way, just realize, man, you have an opportunity, and chances are reality is going to say you're not going to be here. I'm just being honest. You're not going to be here. 5th, 6th, 7th round picks aren't supposed to be in the NFL. They're not supposed to make a roster, but they do. Guys do it time to time. And if you put enough work, you believe in yourself and go outdo the person, you got to put pressure on the staff. Make the staff make a tough decision. Make them make a tough decision. And that's what I did my first year, and I did that my second year. And reality sunk in. I got hit with what the NFL is all about. Coach Fox told me, hey, Jovan, you're a young guy. You've done one heck of a job. You got better. You're better this year than you were last year. So why am I being released? Well, his reasons was I have a vet that has 2 kids in school and a wife, and he's more settled. He's been here longer than you have, and you'll have no problem finding another team because you're young. And I walked out that office storming and said, "That's BS. That's BS." He made it because he has a family and he's well known in the city. That's crazy, but that's the politics you'll run into. So just realize, man, you can't control certain things in the NFL. You can't control anything in the NFL. The best thing you can do is be a high draft pick, and then you have a little more say. Other than that, you're at the mercy of whoever wants to make those decisions.
Definitely well said, man.
Well, there is one thing a lot of people forget about, and that is the NFL is a huge business. Obviously it's competition driven and winning is everything, but once you get to a certain level, your name carries a lot of weight, and it ends up making a lot of those decisions, unfortunately, for some really good players. And your story I've heard from other people, and it is awful sometimes that you get a player that just happens to be a popular guy in the area, and it becomes one of those things. And for you, luckily, and I shouldn't just say luckily, because obviously it took a lot of really hard work on your part and determination, but you ended up coming back Tampa Bay. You had 2 really good seasons in Tampa Bay. It netted you a Tennessee Titans contract, a very big one too. And take me through the years in Tampa Bay, and it just where it just you got that opportunity and you just switched on and became a defensive force.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I think what they played. We played in the Tampa too. That Monty Kiffin, that John Gruden scheme was perfect for me. It could get upfield, be a one gap guy, and just dominate. If you get out your gap, somebody has you. Derek Brooks has you. Shelton Quarles has you. So that's how Barrett Root has you. So that's what they taught. And it was like, Jovan, we don't need you to be 300 pounds. You could play. I played a lot at 265, and they said just be disruptive. You're strong enough to play the run, but we need you to get upfield. And that's what I felt like, I could have always been doing. The Bucks, they were planning on drafting me, but it came down to me and another D tackle out of Alabama that year, and the guy was like 340, and the Bucks they've never had a D tackle 340. So this is, it was something new to them. So that's the reason why they went that route. But I already knew, once I got in that system, it was going to be great. I used to be in Carolina. We used to watch a lot of Bucks film, and that's when I looked and said, man, I would love to play in that system.
Right.
And I, luckily they came calling. They told me, Jovan, just go down there, be you, just play lights out, just give everything you have, and the rest was history, tell you the truth.
Man, and then once again you got to Tennessee, and then and you did a lot of good work in Tennessee. They paid you well, and it became. I think at that point, if I read your bio and your stats right, at that point it looks like that's where it paid off, to do all that work. Am I wrong there, or is that kind of that where?
Yeah, you want to be rewarded, but it wasn't the saying, the grass ain't always greener.
Sure.
And it wasn't greener. It wasn't. I left thinking I wanted to live in Tennessee. And maybe I was going to, pick up and play that type of ball. But I'll be the first to admit, I'm a system type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
God didn't bless me to play in every system. And when I came here, having to play the nose when I didn't want to. In Tampa, I used to play the one technique, the shade, when I choose to. When I said, this is a favorable matchup. Here, I had no choice. I had to play the shade or the 3 technique on any given play, and that's not what I was about. Playing the 2 technique, head up on the guard, I didn't want to do all that, and that's what I was forced to do here. And I realized, this system wasn't meant for me. I'm a Tampa 2 guy, and that's all I truly was ever was. The only thing I was really good at. So the scheme alone didn't fit, and the team was in a different place than Tampa was. I didn't feel like guys bought into the system. Even though I would think it was somewhat of a flawed system, but they didn't buy into the system, and I realized, man, I'm stuck here for the next at least 2 years because, of course, the 4-year deal don't mean much. I only end up playing 2 years. You sign a 4-year deal, you're only guaranteed 1, possibly 2. And things didn't work out, and they released me, but they gave me an opportunity. I met my wife, met my kid, allowed me to have my kids, set me up. Put me in a real good position. But, man, if I had a chance to stay in Tampa, I would have. But John Gruden got fired my last year. Mm-hmm. And when he left and, Monty Kiffin left, I was like, man, I can't be down here.
What was it like for playing? Because, obviously for those who've never met John Gruden, I've had a chance to speak to him on occasion, but what was it like playing for John Gruden? Because obviously his name comes up every year in the coaching, circles that, when Black Monday rolls around and coaches get fired all over the place, his name comes up every year. So obviously he's a popular guy on that level. What was he like playing for him?
Well, he was a straight shooter. He's one of these guys where, I played at other places where I didn't enjoy coming to work. So you can imagine now, even though we didn't have that much interaction with him because he kind of took care of the offense and Monty Kiffin took care of the defense. But anytime you have a young kid who has everything at his hands, and he enjoys coming to work. Actually enjoyed practice. That's what he did. All the coaches fed off of him. They made it conducive to, guys wanting to come to work. There was a family atmosphere, and it was just great. It was the greatest experience. Of course, I played on 5 teams, so, guys can claim their organization is the best, but if you've never been on another organization, you have no idea. I played on 5 teams. And John Gruden, and the Glaciers, they just made it home, man, where guys wanted to play. They gave everything they had. They bought into the system. The vets, the Rondé Barbers of the world, the Derek Brooks of the world, Chris Jovan, Kevin Carter. You felt like it was home. You felt like it was home, and they cheered for you. When you made plays, you cheered for them. So we didn't feel like, when a young guy came in, no one was like, oh, my gosh, someone's ready to take my position. It was like, hey, man, bring this guy in and let's try to keep winning. And that's what Gruden gave, and Gruden's straight shooter, energetic, kept you laughing. Every day he'll come in and he'll have jokes and, things on the screen where you say, man, I'm not going to lie to you. Today it started off as a bad day, but he done loosened me up. And that's Gruden, man. That was Gruden for you, man. I loved it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Gruden, Monty Kissin, that whole staff. I mean, if they told me to stand out in front of a train track and the 6 o'clock coming, I might just stay there. And I don't know if I'm gonna stay there, all the way, but I would attempt to do whatever they say to do, and that's what he was able to do. And you could get guys to buy into your system, and guys willing to die for you, take bullets for you, pull a hamstring for you, and that's when you're in a great position. And that's what I felt like he had the locker room.
That's awesome.
I tell you what, we got the draft come up, Jovan, and I know you're going to be curiously looking into that, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, it's okay. I don't. The draft's overrated.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, right now, as the guest host on here, I'm going to use you as a little NFL draft analyst since I get to speak to the player of the Titans. Who do you think the Titans need the most? Do you think they're going to go with a quarterback, or do you think that they're going to go with the defensive route and go after Leonard Williams from USC? What do you think?
They need to go. I'm not sold on Mettenberger, and if I was them, I would go ahead and do whatever I can to get Philip Rivers.
And what about Rivers?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have to go get Rivers because Wisenhunt is not guaranteed his whole year in the contract. Wisenhunt doesn't win next year, he might be up. You can't put together another 2-win season next year. You can't put together another 4-win season next year. You can't go 5-11. So he needs to get a quarterback in here now that could at least almost guarantee you 7 wins just because who he is. And I don't know if you take the risk to go get a Mariota or Winston and go through the growing pains, because you're going to go through the growing pains. You're going to go through the growing pains, and that's the question. Is he willing to go through the growing pains? And that's just it. I look at Jacksonville. Look at a prime example. Jacksonville don't got not Blaine Gabbert, but
Bortles.
Bortles. Yeah. He went through growing pains, But I think Jacksonville has put Gus Bradley, which he's a great coach. He was there when I was in Tampa, has given him. I think Gus knows he has more years than Wisenhunt knows he has more years. So you better try to win as much games this year. Don't plan for the future. There may not be a future for you, And then the problem you're going to run into now, you're going to get Mariota. Wisenhunt gets fired. Now the new staff's saying, well, I didn't draft Mariota. And it's a never-ending revolving door. Never-ending revolving door. If you could get a Pete Carroll, Pete Carroll's going to be there for the next 10, 15 years if he chooses. Well, not every coach is like that. And the Bucs is the same way. Lovie Smith is not going to guarantee to be there. So if I was Lovie, you're going to go through another year and have to go through the growing pains of Winston? If I was Lovie, I'd be trying to trade for Rivers.
Wow.
That's football. That's football. That's football.
That's insight. I haven't even really heard. I haven't heard that analysis, but that is a great point.
But think about Tressel. Think about Tressel. Wasn't Tressel supposed to be the savior of the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah.
The Chicago Bears?
Right.
2 years he was out. 2 years he was out.
Yeah.
If you're an organization where you've seen a revolving door, you need to win games now. It ain't no future building. It's no future building at all. You need to win games now.
That's true. Well, I mean, yeah, and you bring up a very good point, because if you think about it, every year, what do we say at the very beginning of the season? What's the one conversation that seems to be constant? What coaches are on the hot seat at the beginning of the year?
What coaches on the hot seat?
Right, exactly.
Every year.
Exactly.
Every year. And a coach who's on the hot seat or not sure, if you go in a year and your first year they're saying fire so-and-so, fire so-and-so, you're not in a good place, because guess what? The organization's listening. They're listening.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So you're going to go through another year and put a rookie in there and go through the rookie pain? And now you delivered, a new coach has delivered 6 wins in 2 years. You think the fan base is going to be happy? No. No.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. Some people may say, for the fan, it's great because you're the fan. You say, well, give me Mariota, give me Wilson. Yeah. For the organization, it might be great. That guy might last a little longer. For that coaching staff, no. No, not at all. Because I'm going to tell you this, Winston or Mariota is not going to come and save that franchise this year.
Right.
It ain't happening.
Right.
It is not happening.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So, yeah, so you're saying, I mean, if you're looking to one player, especially a rookie quarterback as a savior, boy, you're going about it the wrong way. You're going definitely. So let me ask you. I just happened to see on your Twitter profile when we had first met. I had seen your Twitter profile that you're into a lot of stuff right now. Why don't you just give us? Feel free to do a few shameless plugs. What do you got going on right now?
Oh man, everything. Just to make it not so shameless, just go to JovanHaye.com and you'll be able to see everything I had going on. But some tech companies, from invention companies, from water bottle companies, you name it, brand companies. I've done it all, man. Party planning, you name it. So just decided, go ahead and, it's almost like in football. The more positions you can play, the better chance you have of making the team. So I figure the more stuff you have, the better chance of something sticking.
Oh man, that's good stuff. I'll definitely go. I've checked out the website, so we'll post it up on the page of the show, and definitely. And hey, this was fantastic stuff, man. It was really a pleasure to have you on.
It's just real, man. It's just I'm not an expert, but what I look at so many of these so-called experts out there, and they didn't play a lick of football. They're not like a Pioli or someone like that. They have no idea. They have not been in these They haven't been in these locker rooms. They don't know jack. They don't know nothing. They don't know Mel Kuypers and Mike Mayock. They don't. Well, maybe Mike Mayock. Mike Mayock played, but what's the other one?
Todd McShay, maybe.
Todd McShay.
I'm not taking blows here, but I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it out there.
They don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. You look back. That's why I said I wish I would have recorded every mock draft they've written down or spoke up and go back and compare. But they've missed out on so many guys. You can't predict this, man. You can't tell me what the Chicago Bears or the Pittsburgh Steelers are thinking. They ain't talking to you.
Right.
They're not talking to these guys. These guys are just coming up, and of course you could call, well, who needs a quarterback? Well, Tampa needs a quarterback. Titans need a quarterback. Well, it's either going to be this guy, or Leonard Williams. Of course. You're stating the obvious. Show me what your second round looked like. Show me your third round look like. Oh, I forgot. The last Pro Bowl, the majority of players that was in the Pro Bowl weren't first-round picks. Bet you didn't hit on them.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't hit on them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it.
But you're so-called expert. I'm not an expert. I'm giving my opinion. Don't. If I was them, I'd say, don't call me an expert. I'm an NFL opinion giver. I'm no expert.
Well said, brother.
Very well said.
It kills me, man. It kills me. None of these guys have been in lockdown. They don't have a clue for half of the stuff that goes on. You know, they keep saying, Mariota this, Mariota that, Jameis Winston. Don't you realize that, I don't know, guys, if I'm going over, but I get easy when I hear it. Don't you realize when a player like Mariota or Jameis Winston, if the Bucks and Titans don't win, don't put a cast around him, don't make it conducive to winning, he's going to be a bust? He is going to be a bust. Both of them. Both of them are going to be a bust. The team you get drafted can dictate your future.
Wow.
That's how much Jamarcus Russell was.
That's well put.
Oh, yeah. Very good example.
He went
Very
to
good
Oakland.
example.
He went to Oakland. He went to Oakland. People go to Oakland and their careers just disappear.
Yeah. That's kind of been the case for the last decade anyway. Yeah, that is.
Russell Wilson goes to Seattle. You know why Russell Wilson's doing so well? Seattle had everything. They had everything you needed. All the parts of that Ferrari worked. You just needed a driver. Some of these guys are on the team where there's no wheels, there's no axles, there's no engine, there's no clutch. You might have some few good pieces, but it's not enough for that car to leave that garage. If that coach leaves and a new coach comes in, and before you know it, this is not my guy, next thing you know, Jameis Winston is bouncing. Mark Sanchez, I didn't think he was the greatest quarterback, but he wasn't in the greatest position.
That's very true.
He wasn't in the greatest position. Matt Leinart, he wasn't in the greatest position when he went to Arizona. Arizona stunk. They stunk. But what did they do? They put pieces, and guess what? They went and got Kurt Warner. Before you know it, guess what? They said, you know what? We're just one driver away from making this bad boy run. And they got Kurt Warner. You can't blame Matt Leinart for that. So half of these people who are busts, the team didn't do anything for them. The teams didn't do anything for them. So don't tell me that Jameis Winston and Mariota is going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. You got to hope the Bucks and the Titans make it easy for these guys. If not, it's just going to be another revolving door. It's going to be another revolving door.
Wow, that's easily the best insight I have heard in the entirety of all of the draft. It's certainly a pleasure to have you on, Jovan, and we will have you on anytime you're willing to come on.
I speak the truth, man.
Oh man,
I don't know anything, but I speak the truth.
Well, hey, that is it's the truth weighs pounds where everything else is share ounces. So that is awesome, man. I appreciate you being on, and good luck to you in every one of your endeavors. Believe me, I will be in touch, and I would love to have you on during the regular season.
No problem, man. You guys enjoy, and keep rocking out, man.
All right, brother.
Thanks, bud.
And that was Jovan Haye with us on the XERS streaming radio hotline. We will be back in just a little bit. You are listening to the Chief Seats on XERS radio.
Danielle Slav from Cheers Pub here. If you're looking for the best live music in Michiana, Cheers Pub is for you. Established in 1982, Cheers has become a well-known venue featuring local, regional, and national acts. Hard rock, metal, indie, and classic rock music is featured weekly on our newly remodeled stage. We have karaoke on Wednesday nights, drink specials nightly, 4 Horsemen pizza, and a full menu to curb your appetite. We're open 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Located at 103 Dixie Way South in Roseland. Cheers Pub, where friends become family.
Someone may have reached utopia. They figured out the best of both worlds, a 5-star dive bar. In fact, that is what it is and is its name. 5-star dive bar at 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, near Johnson Street. Serving at the 5-star full lunch and dinner menus. Get it all from appetizers to desserts. Special 5-star burgers, and Jake has great buns. The Dive Bar is also a 5-star place to go for nighttime entertainment and fun. Full bar service and the 5-star frozen Jaeger bomb. With live music 4 nights a week. Wednesdays and Thursdays, a karaoke DJ. That is the 5-star Dive Bar, 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, 574-294-7500. 5-star Dive Bar on Facebook.
Every Thursday night, 9 p.m., Iconic Cafe hits the digital radio airwaves with the best in home interviews and cooking. Be sure to check out Iconic Cafe Mishawaka Facebook page for upcoming and archive shows. Now that's iconic.
And we'll never be royals. It's a run in our blood. That kind of luck's just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be
for sure.
And we are back. You're listening to Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. Of course, brought to you by Rock Sports Bar and Grill. And right here beside me, no Steve Determan today. Josh Briggs hanging out with us all day. And, man, I'm going to tell you what, the last segment, I mean, what better time to bring up if you missed this show and you missed the last segment. My God, you need to go download the podcast at iHeartRadio after the show, or go to Spreaker, or just check it out on Facebook. You'll get a link to the show on Spreaker. You have got to listen to the Jovan Haye segment. He broke it down that was the best half an hour of radio that this show in the 7-year history of my show. The best half an hour of radio, easily.
It really opened my eyes to the draft, and I tell you what, if you guys are going to be watching the draft, Willis, I know you and I are.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be really watching to see what these top 3 teams are going to do.
I'm actually doing work to try and get a press pass. Ooh. Yes, so yeah, Big Daddy might be in Chicago for the draft.
Attaboy.
Rubbing elbows with some people from the leader. So we'll see. I'm working.
See how it goes.
Yeah. So, but man, I mean, go to facebook.com/thecheapseats with Steve. I'll have it on my Twitter account. Follow me at TCS Willis. You can always follow Josh Briggs at what is it?
J Briggsy _14.
Yeah, and you have got to hear that segment. I might even put that segment by itself up as just a thing on its own, because it was just that good. And boy, you want to talk about an eye-opening segment. Definitely. I mean, it shows you what, the opinion of somebody who really got a chance. I mean, somebody that's not in front of certain cameras, giving an opinion on what the NFL is really like, and some of the politicking going on.
He really showed up Kuiper and McShay.
yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I get email from them on this, all I'm doing, I'm gonna turn. Hey, Jovan is, he's a big guy, man. He's like 6'5", 275. He's big. I'm gonna turn him loose on them. I'll buy him a bus ticket to Bristol, and he can go talk to him. I'm out of this.
He should be an analyst.
I'm out of this. Hey, I would tell you what, he did a heck of a job.
I know.
And it was great stuff. But hey, we've got to get to some other stuff going on right now, and that is NASCAR, baby.
Yeah,
we got some racing coming up.
Yeah, I know. We're at the tail end of the spring short track season. It's going to be a Saturday night race once again. It's the Toyota Owners 400. And, man, Bristol, just unbelievable. And I kept telling you, Steve, I'm like, you know what, dude, I'm going to get my wish, and we're going to have 2 night races at Bristol in 1 year. And wouldn't you know it, it rained there for most of the day. And then they said, hey, wheels up, 7 o'clock, we're going racing. And I'm just like, wow, there is a God out there. And I tell you what, it was one of the best races ever. A lot of wrecks. I mean, that as is typical at Bristol, and ended up having Matt Kenseth with an emotional return to victory lane. And you know what, Steve? I even told you guys, too, Joe Gibbs Racing, they're on the cusp. And, first you got Denny Hamlin winning the opening part of the short track season at Martinsville. And then Carl Edwards just coming so close at Texas. And then, Matt Kenseth, he comes up and wins at Bristol. But now comes Richmond. Denny Hamlin, he's got another good chance, but his neck's got to get healthy. Did you see that? He actually had to step out of the car because he had neck spasms. What's up with that?
Oh, yeah. I was wondering why he was getting out of the car. I didn't really know what was going on there.
Yeah, but you know what's really cool? I got a little personal connection here. Eric Jones. I used to watch this kid race at Grand Valley State University. They had Berlin Raceway, which is right down the road. This kid was racing street stocks at 14, 15 years old. And now they just announced today that while Kyle Busch is hurt, he's going to be driving the 18 M&M's Camry. Now, how cool is that? I mean, a personal connection right there.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
I know. I'm really excited. But without further ado, we gotta get ready for Richmond.
Yeah.
Last year, fisticuffs were at the end of this race. They were flying. I mean, I don't know. Do you remember Marcus Ambrose last year? Him and Casey Mears were going at it, and live right on camera, Ambrose just clocks Casey Mears right in the face.
I remember that.
I'm like, whoa, this is like NHL, but it's NASCAR. Yeah. But, I think it's going to be interesting, and wait till you see my fast forward. So shall we get to it, Mr. Willis?
Let's do that, please.
Okay. First off, we have Kevin Harvick. He's won this race at Richmond twice before, most recently in 2011. And, wow, that sucked, man. Last week, he had a dominant car at Bristol. He led the first 186 laps of this race, man. And then Jimmy Johnson, he decides to start trouble, and poor Kevin Harvick, he had nowhere to go in this one and ends up plowing into the side of the 18 of David Reagan. But you know what? Kevin Harvick, he's gonna be hungry this week, and I think Kevin Harvick's gonna win Richmond. I'm going out there, and he's going to win.
Going after Harvick, huh?
Yes. And then also another guy that has been impressive lately, Casey Kane. Man, he had another good run taken away from him at Bristol. He was leading late, and he was in one of the wrecks towards the very end. Now, it's interesting to note, I know it's Friday, but a little throwback Thursday, one day late. He got his first career Sprint Cup Series win at this race 10 years ago. Wow. So I think Casey Kane's going to be in the running. And now, you know what? Tony Stewart. I think he's going to have another great run this weekend. And he got a top 5 at Bristol last week. Now, this is a track where he has been absolutely abysmal at in years past. But it was about survival of the fittest, and he got 5th place. I think he's going to slowly creep around the corner. Now, if you look on my page on Facebook at jbriggsy14, I posted an article today. They interviewed Tony Stewart this afternoon, and he said, and I quote, "We are nowhere near turning the corner yet." But what do you think, Steve? Do you think Tony Stewart will start making some gains? I don't know.
I don't know. As far as Tony Stewart goes, all this year he seemed it's kind of been pedestrian for Stewart Haas Racing. It's not, nobody in that organization has seemed to really come out and kind of flex their muscles, so to speak. It's really been kind of just kind of quiet, running in the background. They've been running middle of the pack every week, and nobody's really breaking out trying to do anything. And it's almost, I don't know, it almost feels like they're just waiting for something. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Richmond's going to be the track that they can break out on. Historically, Stewart and Stewart Haas Racing has been fairly good at Richmond.
Especially Tony Stewart, the driver.
Well, yeah, Tony Stewart as a driver has been, fantastic at Richmond, and I don't know. It just seems there's a different feel this year, and it's almost like for me, it's almost like ever since that incident happened in upstate New York on that dirt track with Stewart, boy, it just seems like a lot of stuff has just changed with him, and how things get handled on the track, I should say, not off the track, but on the track anyhow. And it's weird, and maybe there's no correlation to it whatsoever. Maybe there's not, but boy, it just feels different.
Oh, it does. But, I think he can have another solid run this weekend. But my fourth guy that I'm looking out for towards the last tier of the Fast Four, Justin Allgaier, and coming off the heels of his first career top 10 finish last week at Bristol, finishing in 8th place now. Wow. For a little-known team, H. Scott Motorsports, they hired this guy that he drove for him in the Xfinity series a long time ago, back in the early 2010s, 2010, 2011. He had the cleanest car all night at Bristol. I watched. That 51 car was the cleanest car. No bruises, no scratches, no nothing. And he finishes 8th. And I think he's going to follow that up with another solid run, maybe top 10 at Richmond. So those are my Fast Four, and Kevin Harvick's going to be the guy that pulls it off at the end of the night, I think. So, but we'll see what happens. And then also for you Ryan Newman fans, Richard Childress, the owner of the 31 team, he's going to file one more appeal, and they're going to be hearing the results early next week, and as early as Tuesday, because that's when all the penalties get doled out. But honestly, Steve, we talked about this the last time. Once you're caught, you're caught.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're, as the saying goes, when you're hit like, But I don't really see what the point in filing another appeal is. If maybe he's just trying to. I don't know if he might just be trying to just kind of delay the inevitable or something like that. Now, has Newman been allowed to race during the appeals process?
Oh, yeah, he has. But also, this penalty, it's more internal. It's not really about the driver. It's more internal because, crew members supposedly were tampering with tires, poking holes in them. So with that being said, Luke Lambert, he is at risk for being suspended for 6 races. Now, the crew chief, as Jovan said before, I'm going to compare to what he said. That's your guy that you lean on. He's the guy who dictates how that car is going to run. The driver's just out there, but the crew chief he's the guy who calls all the shots. He says, this has got to be done, that's got to be done. But, they have Todd Parrott supposedly coming on to be the substitute when the suspension takes place. And that's not a bad choice either, because he won a championship in 1999 with Dale Jarrett. He's won 2 Daytona 500s with Dale Jarrett. So, that might not be a bad loss, but still, when you're Ryan Newman, you're supposed to be running closer to the front, and you have a big blow like that. Wow.
That really, yeah. Well, it obviously really hurts that whole team, and with Stewart or with Newman possibly losing his crew chief, that really could that can hurt him as well. Obviously, if you're working side by side, it's almost like a fighter losing his corner guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the guy that you go to that's kind of seeing what you can't see and telling you, hey, this is what we need to work on next time you get out there and all this. And he's going to lose that. And that's, that's a huge blow. Mm-hmm. And that's probably why Childress is fighting so hard to keep this, going and hopefully win an appeal here. But, I don't know. I don't like the way it's going down. I think, in the end, like I said, you're done. You're caught. You're hit.
That's right. But, we'll see what goes on. And I'm going to try and stay awake to do a post-race wrap-up. And, doggone, man, our work schedules, man, they're just crazy. And but I'm going to try to stay up with you.
Oh, don't you know it? I mean, I've been doing it. Well, see, now I'm doing, I'm not only doing this, I'm doing my other job. I'm also writing for ProFootballSpot.com. And so now I'm all over the place. And of course now for me anyway, my refrigerator blew out this week.
Oh,
did you see that? Did you see me posting about that? Lamenting?
That's crazy, but I love the new one that you got for sure.
Isn't it pretty?
Well, I tell you what,
I bought a black refrigerator.
I like it, and I tell you what,
so
Willis,
cool.
You better get it stocked up because you know where we're going next weekend.
What's next weekend?
Who wants to go pay a visit to Ricky Bobby? Because we're going to Talladega.
Oh, that's right, baby.
So
super speedways, you gotta love them.
And it's gonna be interesting because, you know, I personally hate the new qualifying format. I hate it. You know, Daytona. You know, even Clint Boyer even said, you know, with all this group qualifying, it's just some sort of cute show that NASCAR's trying to put on. But you know what? It needs to be single car runs, and that's what they're gonna do. They're going to go one car at a time, but they're going to do timing intervals. So they're going to send one car out, and then they're going to send another car out, and then they're going to send another car out.
You know, I don't really have a problem with that because if you think about it, the cars, there's not so many cars that it's going to be affecting the track itself. There's going to be so many cars at one time that it'll affect track temperature or anything like that. But I mean, when you have one car coming down the backstretch and another car is coming off the start-finish line, those cars have nothing to do with one another.
It's the draft.
They won't see each other. They won't feel each other. There will be no wind turbulence between one and the other because you've got 3/4 of a mile between them. You know, so I mean, you're not gonna have any problems as far as that goes. So I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right though. The group qualifying, it's like, dude, God, seriously?
When they first started doing that, I raised an eyebrow and I was just like, wow.
I mean, you may as well call it what it is. It's a qualifying race.
Mm-hmm. If you want to do a qualifying race, go back to your local short track and do it that way.
Yeah.
But
don't do that on the big.
It should be
tracks.
single runs.
How many cars got damaged? From the group qualifying.
You know, it's interesting to note at Daytona they damaged over 60 cars in the Big 3 series with that format. Now you'd think that would send a message, but who knows? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. We'll have to see. But real quick, before we get ready to go to Richmond, here's 3 keys that we need to keep in mind. First, watch your brakes. You know, short tracks are murder on your brakes. And 2, you need to watch your front fender because if you knock it in on the radiator, that's it. You're cooked. You're done. And then 3, we alluded to this earlier, temper. You need to keep your temper in check.
Absolutely.
Because if not, you're going to be in one of those fist fights in the infield at the end of the day.
So let me throw this at you. Obviously, we just got done with one short track at Bristol. Now we got another short track at Richmond. What's the difference? What's the key difference between the 2 short tracks that a driver's going to have to now make an adjustment for going into Richmond?
Well, definitely the banking. It's just a little D-shaped short track nestled in the fairgrounds. So it's a little bit of an easier ride, but your car can get so loose coming off of turn number 4 because that is where the car is the lightest coming off of that final turn. And I've seen some great, fantastic sideways, side-by-side finishes over the years. Denny Hamlin, I think he is the master at that, but that's why I was a little hesitant on him to pick him this week. But so we'll just see who knows how to handle their car the best. But, last for NASCAR, how about Steve Byrnes, man? Wow.
You were telling me about that loss. It is a big loss. And you've actually, you had some words that you'd like to speak, and I'm just going to turn it completely over to you.
Definitely. We all have those mentors in our life, and everybody's followed with me. Everybody's heard enough Josh Briggs, but Steve Byrnes, he was one of the guys that anybody in the broadcasting industry, especially sports, needs to look up to. I mean, he's been around for 30 years. He's been doing it for 30 years. He started back on TNN, back when it was the Nashville Network, hosting a he was doing a show called Inside Winston Cup Racing. And little did we know, now he left this big legacy, with TNN and then TBS, and then ended up getting hired by Fox in 2001. He was with Fox from the very beginning. Heck, he was a big football guy, Willis. You'd be proud of him. He actually did the NFL on Fox for a couple games. Now, how cool is that?
That is pretty cool.
But, it's going to be a sore spot on the sport for a while. Everybody that followed him on Twitter, everybody that followed me on Twitter, I was very big on this guy. We're going to read to you we're going to read a few of the tweets. Dale Earnhardt Jr., he says, "My hope is that Steve was able to see how much he was loved and appreciated by his family. Rest easy, friend. Prayers to his family. #BurnsStrong." Danica Patrick, so sad to hear that Steve Byrnes has passed away. His last tweet, "I went the distance. You did, my friend. Haven't gained a real fighter today." But, it was, as a fan, as we are, the drivers, they lost a great friend. And for all the announcers, all the reporters, they lost a great colleague. And, man, we're going to miss him. So, and we actually talked the other night. I remember Stuart Scott when he passed away. That was a big blow too, wasn't it?
It really was, and Stuart Scott was one of the reasons why I had gotten into sports talk in the first place, was because he had showed me that you don't have to be a stuffy numbers analyst to do it. You can do it with a certain level of cool and a certain level of real.
Cooler than the other side of the pillow, right?
Yes, as he would say, cooler than the other side of the pillow. But and I had a chance to speak with Stuart before he had passed. He, of course, and anybody that listens to the show, they know my wife is a cancer survivor, and Stuart was he was a hero, more or less, to me. For fighting as much as what he was, and he was an inspiration to my wife, while we were going through the uncertainty, and now that I have my dad who's going through it as well. Now that that strength that I could feel from him, as strong as what he was, just kind of helps me understand that that fight is there, and you can take it to it. And so for anybody out there who's battling cancer, he was a model of how you need to fight that disease. And when we lost him, you could tell, even at a place as big as what ESPN is, he meant the world to every single individual. I mean, there wasn't a single person there that could talk about him without getting misty-eyed. And even when I first came back on the air after he had passed, talking about him, even I got misty-eyed. And mind you, I've never actually had the opportunity to shake his hand. I did nothing more than speak to him, but he was such an inspiration to me professionally and personally that even I got misty-eyed. So, I mean, and there are certain people in the world that can do that. And it is really, it's an enormous thing. And it is just it's a great feeling to know that you have the ability to leave a legacy, no matter what that legacy is, as long as it's a positive one, I guess. Mm-hmm. But you have the ability to leave a legacy, and Byrnes did that, Scott did that, and
Jimmy Valvano even.
Yep, Jimmy V, another very good legacy, and it wasn't just for his basketball coaching prowess, because honestly, that was. I mean, if Jimmy V would not have made his famous "Don't Ever Give Up" speech, and he would not have fought cancer and eventually succumbed to cancer, you kind of wonder, how big he would have been, because it really wasn't his coaching that kind of got him there, He had the one great run, the one Cinderella run, but outside of that, it wasn't much else. But the just the ability to be that type of person that everyone can get behind or everyone can look up to, I guess. I don't know. It's, I'm going on about this. It's kind of, I don't know. It's a crazy thing. But when you lose somebody like this, then the impact hits you.
Definitely.
And you can, you feel all this.
It was really touching, definitely, when Kevin Harvick got honored by President Obama at the White House. What was really cool was Obama actually took the time out to express his condolences to the Byrnes family. Now, that was great. Now, he might not have known Steve Byrnes, but, all of us NASCAR fans, we knew what Steve Byrnes meant to the sport. And, wow, it's going to be a big blow, Willis.
Yeah, it really is. And, of course, our thoughts go out to his family as well. And hopefully all of his family and friends can find peace and comfort here very shortly. So anyhow, with that, I hate to end it on a down note. So we've got to do something. We got to do something happy, cheery.
Heck yeah, man! Drinks on me. Let's all have a beer.
What are you drinking?
Oh, Labatt, man.
Labatt?
Yes.
What the hell? Really?
Hey, it's hockey time, man. Canadian beer.
Labatt, eh?
Yeah.
I know a buddy of mine, and many, many years we were friends, Canadian. And, he drank Labatt. And he and I stayed in the same hotel for a month there. We were doing some work and came into his room and he had Labatt cans everywhere.
Ooh.
I was like, are you serious? I looked at him and I said, brother, you're living the stereotype.
Oh, man.
You realize you're Canadian, you're watching the NHL, and you're drinking Labatt's.
That's a true hockey fan right there, baby.
He looked over at me and goes, I'm from Vancouver. What else am I going to do?
Yeah, well, you could be a natty guy, but you know what? True Canadians, true hockey fans love their Labatt.
Well, me personally, I think I'm going to go restock my refrigerator.
Yeah, we got to get ready for Talladega.
Yeah, I just got to get some food in my house.
I just got to get me some food.
Yeah, the fridge thing, that was a wild week. It was crazy. But anyhow, once again, if you missed any of the show, you got to go check it out. It was a phenomenal show this week. We covered so much. And
very
Josh,
deep.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming in on short notice. You did a great job. Steve Determan, of course, will have to wipe all the Detroit Red Wing off of that seat before he comes back. And hopefully Determan enjoyed himself. He was out checking out. He was up in Green Bay. He was pre-scouting before the draft. So, hopefully he got a chance to go enjoy himself. So, what are you doing right after the show? Are you getting out of here? Are you going home? You watching some basketball? What are you doing?
Oh, I got to get the NBA ready. Got to get the pizza and beer ready, and let's go.
All right, sounds good. Let's get on out of here. That's going to do it for us. We're going to get you back to music here in just a little bit. You are listening to The Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. For Briggs, this is Willis. We'll see you next week.
Have an awesome night, everybody.